So I'm Michal Klodner from EOSC project. Actually, this project spreads over several organizations, so I'm based on CESNET. And what is National Metadata Directory? I have two language versions of this picture, so I will switch to the English one. I'm sorry, I sometimes use the short NMA, which comes from Czech, not NMD. So NMA means National Metadata Directory. Well, it was said it's obligatory to put metadata records to NMA, but it's something what's called common components of the infrastructure which EOSC and National Repository Platform is building. The common components like authentication and authorization infrastructure and others. And its purpose is to be kind of central point and gateway for searching all the records from all domain specific repositories or even institutional repositories. So anyone could go and at one place search in all these records, and there is some aim to reach also beyond National Repository Platform for all Czech science data sets, which can be in even different repositories or registries somewhere where we can find them and harvest them. How these data are coming to NMA, it was also already said we use protocol of metadata harvesting from Open Archives initiative. You already heard yesterday on the conference about this way, and any repository who exposed its metadata on this OAI data point can be harvested to National Metadata Directory if these metadata standards can be understood on both ends. That's what we will talk about. And at the NMA, there should be shortly, when this is available for repositories from National Repository Platforms, some administration of this harvest, which the administrators of repositories can overlook how their records are going in if there is not some problem with some records, with some values which would not pass into this metadata directory. So, to look how actually this works, as this was meant to be a workshop, I prepared some workshop activities, but it's up to you if you will go over them. So this protocol is HTTP based, so you go actually to some URL address and you send some requests on OAI and you get some information. This is basics. It's like knocking on the door of OAI, and on the other part we will see actual record. So you can get some information on OAI of the repository with the request identify. And the other very interesting is list metadata formats, which this OAI point supports. So this is this activity which you can go on your computers if you have this workshop mindset. And I will show here how you can find actual OAI metadata points. You can go to RES3 data repository, which is international repository, like register of repositories, and you see here for Lindat repository is OAI-PMH point is part of the record for the repository, and as it was already advertised after this presentation, there will be Alex from National Technical Library talking about National Repository Catalog, which will be a other Czech common component for registering repositories covering this Czech research and Czech data sets. So here, when you go to this OAI point, there is many of them because Clariach is actually a platform. It's not one repository. So I chose the down there is the address of the OAI point of the Charles University repository. If you go to Zenodo, there is also, you find this point here for developers. And then you find the address which you can request. And as a third example is this Czech repository of social sciences, which is actually both, all these examples are based on different software platforms. So the Lindat is based on DSpace, Zenodo is based on Invenio, and this is based on Dataverse. So all of the software has this OAI data points, which you find in documentation or in software documentation, which tells you where what address makes this data point, or in registries, as I mentioned. So there is a second activity. If you already found out what your chosen PM OAI point offers as metadata standards, you can now query this point for actual records, and it's done like this. This base URI, you use request verb list identifiers or list records of or get record. And of course, you narrow the results somehow, so you can use attributes like date points from until to make some accessions like each day or each week, because usually harvests go periodically, like each day or each week. It depends how fresh metadata you want to have, or how your data points should offer them to the registries like NMA or OpenAIRE. And of course, you specify the metadata format you want to request. So there can be different supported, like Dublin Core, DataSite, or CCMM, which we will talk later. And that's here. So here on the right, this design was offered me by Microsoft Teams, so I liked it. But this is part where it's not yet stable addresses, which you will find on CCMM CZ website. So this is just suggested URLs, which you will find in list of supported metadata standards. So if you made it into some data point, the request for metadata formats looks like showing prefix, which you see datasite or a doubling core. And in case of CCMM, there should be metadata prefix record with CCMM. And the other lines are the CCMM, the schema, like the XML schema, as OAI-PMH is XML based, so it's always some XSD scheme of the model. And the other link is namespace, like explaining the semantically how the metadata fields should be interpreted. Documentation how NMA harvests this metadata is on the link down below. So you will find this info there. You will find the final info on CCMM CZ website. And what actually this National Repository Platform documentation will tell you is how to announce that you are ready with your OAI data point to be harvested to NMA. So most probably we will talk to repository builders long before this happens. We in CESNET, where we develop NMA, or you will talk to National Repository Catalog on National Technical Library, and at the point you fill your final OAI URL and click Save, there will be some notice going around our infrastructure, and we will find out that we can start the periodical harvest. But most probably even before, we can offer you some test environment similar to NMA, but it will be some test repository which will work the same way, but where you can do anything with your records, or we can find out if everything works, if all these metadata fields are valid and crosswalks work as they should. And I can go to this more follow-up things where we can extend on this. So on the National Repository Platform documentation, you will also read about some possibility of applying XSL transformation on your metadata. So if your repository software supports some of the metadata standards, and it's not easy to implement some others like CCMM, you can use the crosswalk actually, which I think it's the same, like call it transformation, XSL transformation or crosswalks. Maybe it's more general to call it crosswalk because there can be other ways how to do it. XSL is specific to XML like processing. So with your OAI point, you can also provide this XSL transformation, which we apply on your metadata, and the result, which should be CCMM compatible, will be harvested into NMA. Or you can also use this transformation for other purposes. Yes, if you are implementing this OAI data point and you want support other metadata standards which require other maybe registries, domain-specific search gateways, so you want to support also some different formats, maybe your native repository metadata standard, so you want to implement it more. So also this transformation can happen inside your repository to offer actually on this OAI point more of this metadata standard, how you see on Zenodo and others. Because many repositories talk together with these standards or talk with OpenAIRE and other like multinational bodies which harvest even more metadata and even more repositories than NMA, which is aimed at to check a domain. Request granularity, like to put your request on OAI point without any specification what you need, and the repository is large. There could be a lot of data, and there could be some transformations involved inside, which is crosswalk also through the vocabularies from one to another because of different standards. So the request can be requiring a lot of processing inside the repository or somewhere. So you should consider granularity of these requests or providing this metadata like only for some accessions, like differences each day, each week, or you can use the sets, divide the content on different sets of the metadata records, and you can request only some subset and not all the data. And that's why some repositories will answer if you make too much requests, which like HTTP response, which says you have to slow down. There is too many requests from you because the bots are harvesting this, scraping the repositories. So there are some measures how to make this for everyone. And there could be some answer or response from the OAI point, which gives you only part of the data, and then some resumption token, which you use for get the other part and the rest. NMA and CCMM metadata. So if you succeed to implement CCMM metadata, it could be harvested to NMA. Like NMA is expected to be harvesting CCMM from National Repository Platform, where it is the core metadata standard. But from beyond, as I was mentioning, we are able to use in some exceptions from Zenodo, although some other metadata standards. So in next year with CCMM 1.1 stable, we will be able to harvest CCMM as it was stated, and with this harvest administrations at the part of NMA when you can log in with AAI account for some person responsible for harvesting the repository. And if you are interested in all the metadata NMA harvest, you can get it also through REST API, which is compatible with the search you are doing when you go to NMA and use the search box and use some query for any full text request. You can use it the same way with REST API and get the records this way. So there could be provided all the processed metadata from all National Repository platforms on one place for you, or for some purposes like supercomputing, if the repositories are connected to laboratory notebooks on processing on supercomputing centers, it can also go through these common components where you can find anything on all the platforms and not to go to single repositories, each one, which can be like 20, 30 very soon. So these things can be made using NMA and this like aggregated metadata. That's basically that. If you have some questions.
Hey, I know this is a repo builder workshop, but I have a question from a user point of view. I sometimes use NMA as a search engine, basically, and I feel it keeps changing, maybe slightly. So when do you expect it would be like a final or almost final version of this search? And when does it start actually function? Because sometimes my last experience was very frustrating. So I hope that it will improve again soon. Thanks.
Yeah, you can ask at support address on the NMA address. You can describe your issues by email, and we will go through it to help you. And yeah, last or this year, there was a release of NMA which changed a lot how it was working before. I think it was in the middle of the year, like June or July, and it changed. There was a user interface change, and it started to support CCMM 05. So these changes are partly connected with development and collaboration of this CCMM data model, which NMA should support like the first repository on this platform. And I think there will be a new release in the, or some new features announced. I am not sure really about the release in January next year, which will be partly because some compatibility with National Registry of Scientific Results. And yeah, there are sometimes features which we discuss how to implement, how to interpret fields, how the support of persistent identifiers will be. So it depends what's actually your issue. And I think this some implementation was postponed to wait for this CCMM final release, stable release, to actually make all this filtering by the attributes available and things like that. So it depends what your issue was, but we can help you.
Generally speaking, I think the National Metadata Directory is still in the pilot phase. So what's now available should function. So if you've run into any technical difficulty, this could be solved. And if you report it, we are glad. And there definitely will be development in the inner structure of NMA and of the interface and so on. So there will be development for sure. Okay, Marek.
So I understand that primary aim is to collect metadata, cataloging metadata. How do you plan? Is there a plan to harvest also more discipline-specific metadata, or you will leave that to, for example, OpenAIRE?
We will harvest actually what will be exposed on this OAI data point. Like it's supposed that on the part of NMA there is like no filtering of what is on this data point, like in regarding like what type of record it is. We expect that if we harvest some repository, it will be dataset repository, so all the records should be eligible to come to NMA, and we don't decide about any metadata values, what we get or what we don't. But regarding the domain-specific metadata, actually, I think we will get them, but there is not expect to be like searchable through NMA specifically, like where the telescope was aiming. We can support like the common infrastructure, only the basic descriptive metadata.
Sorry for stepping on your feet. Thank you for the answer. And but you mentioned that you are only interested about the records containing datasets, so no more generic digital objects.
Yeah, that's a question. Michal Matt was showing the core vocabulary of resource types, and actually there are resource type of datasets, and in core there is several datasets type, but actually we can harvest anything what's in these repositories which expose this metadata, but we should not harvest what is national repository of publications aimed for, so no like scientific articles and these text-based results, but I think software video is already in NMA from Lindat, so there can be like not article, like data-oriented resource types, which is not called datasets, but we can have them.
Did we answer your question, Marek? Okay.
No documents, pretty much.
Yes, but you were asking about other digital objects. You were aiming somewhere else, not only publications?
Yeah, I was not heading towards documents. I was more heading towards digital objects, such as, I don't know, the result of research could be very complex. It could be a prototype. Prototype doesn't have data set, but it can be digitally described. So, and it could end up, for example, in our repository. It will be a record, which will be in line with CCMM. And but it will have some different properties. There will be no file. Maybe there will be a picture in this particular case, but in other cases it could be virtual, and then there is no picture, for example, no image of it.
Yeah, there are resource types which could be considered as dataset, but which are actually coming with resource type video or image. You know, the image could be like dataset for some corpus of learning something, providing some research data. Software, yes. As I say, from Lindat, there are already some video resource types coming, but with CCMM and how this nomenclature will work, it can change. It's on further agreement on this repository platform how to classify your datasets, if you use datasets, or it can be something else.
Yeah, I would like to add to what Michal said, like the National Repository for Publications and Documents. You actually can put your metadata to both systems if there is a need for it, if there is something that is clear data, and you put it there. But if you feel that it fits more with the type to the National Repository for Publications and Research Documents, you can create set going just there or being in both if there is a need, but it's about the coordination. I think we still need to find the balance. The typology is clear there for the repository, but yeah.
Yeah, both of you have a tendency to go back to documents. I'm not interested in documents at all. Sorry for phrasing it this way, very strict. I was more going towards virtual objects. In material sciences and engineering, we are handling something what is called a digital twin. Digital twin in version 2 can be really complex, has nothing to do with dataset. It is a digital object in its full meaning, but will most probably end up in our repository. And my question was going towards NMA, but you answered because it has core resource type, so there is no problem in this direction.
It depends on resource type you will use in your metadata field and for your things.
Okay, thank you very much.